regional.
This call is now being recorded.
Gracias.
लाइन था
ଦି ଜଣ ପିଲା ନେତା भुवनेश्वर रिजनल के जॉइन करना तो स्टार्ट कर दबा हां हो रख ताले proceed to start the class.
Yes, sir.
So development of rural women. Block 1. Your paper is block 1. Development of rural women. That all of you know that India is a country of, as what type of country? As we know, India is a country of developing economically, as the democracy states, as all we are equal, that there should not be any disparities among the men and women. all should have equal status and possessions in respect of everywhere, that education plays one of the important role for the democratic country, as it is one of the backbone for the country. So that's why we require equal status from education point of view and in other respects. So women's upsurge, which is the result of cumulative and interactive effects of the sustained efforts of governments, the women's movement and civil society. We know the civil society at various fronts over the last 2 decades, as in this process an active and grassroots level leadership is emerging among women. Women is the best leader for the country's economic development and social development, political development in every respect. Are you clear? My voice is clear or not? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the
Again.
provisional result, female literacy. So government of India giving priority on the female literacy, because the country's economic development, social development, political development in every respect, scientific development depends on the female literacy. So there are 3 main important indicators for the women's literacy, for the women's development. The first indicators that women have reached a critical mass, marked changes in human energy and social changes. So female literacy is the first indicator. Female literacy is the first indicator for the economic development and a development strategy of the rural women. The second indicator, the women's participation in the Panchayat Raj and municipality elections. So government also keeping reserve for the women's participation in Panchayat Raj and grassroots levels of political affairs. So that is why government also giving priority on minority communities like Adivasi groups. So how they will consult and create awareness among themselves to participate in grassroots level political situations. So that is why rural women's status and development is essential for the country's growth and awareness, how to create awareness among the people. And simultaneously, there is also one negative indicators for the women. The negative indicators that crime against women. So that crimes nowadays, we all about aware that crime are going on, which is on the rise, even though much of the domestic violence against women are not fully captured by the statistics. Many that domestic violence is ignored by the society also. As the women assert their rights in a male-dominated patriarchal society, they have to face resistance and opposition leading to violence. So there are severe violence nowadays prevail from child to and young persons all over the India. There is women's violations, crime against women. The available results of the recent census have brought the issue of population, health, education, employment, and social security to the center stage. The natural population pyramid of the country is changing. The sex-wise, mute karo mobile phone. The sex-wise pyramids are become increasing dissimilar, creating grave gender-based imbalances and disadvantages. The reverse employment pyramid of women, sharp decline in sex ratio of under 7 population, and more women than men in the 16 plus age group. So 10th plan, as indicates several research studies including National Family Survey 2000 were conducted, which revealed that there are many issues related to women which needed attention. Some of these are the National Family Survey 2000 रे जोड़ा है issues related to women which needed women had no access to political participation. So second, they lacked organization in groups and were consequently isolated. Third, they had no access to credit or resources. Fourth, they lacked education, vocational training and skills to earn a livelihood. Water and fuel were not easily available within their homes, and fodder was not easily available within a convenient distance. So in case of adverse life situation, social support measures are inadequate in rural areas. And so that is why, as we should compare with the men and women, as there is lack of opportunities for the women in our society. So that is why government takes drastic steps in different 5-year plan period. You know that the first 5-year plan period was started or commenced during 1951. Government also has taken strategy for the development of the women. After the departure of the Britishers, how to grow and status and education, health, everything for the women. A change in the status of women is a good indicator of the pattern and the direction of social change. So status is referred to as a position in a social system and right and obligations. The Committee of Status Women recognized the committee as formulated by the Government of India, some of the important status as formulated for the women, like place in ritual hierarchy, second, financial position, third, independent job, fourth, educational background, and fifth, political participation. All these activities is very essential for the women. If they will involve in this respect, so that the women's status and rural women's status and development can be held possible. So that is why it is very important from our country's point of view. In our attempt to highlight some of the major issues concerning the status of rural women, that two types of status are there. One is quantitative, another is qualitative. So quantitative includes, like indicators includes vital statistics of birth and mortality rates, sex ratio, and degree of participation in economic and political life, literacy and education. So all these are the quantitative indicators for the women empowerment. And socio-economic difference among women do not necessarily get reflected in macro data such as the national and state average. So accordingly, the qualitative indicator must be there for the development of the women. Especially qualitative indicator as includes the educational background of the women. So education and financial aspect also included here to develop the women career. So point important point, you should note it. all are suggested to note some important points for the women development. Socio-demographic status for the women. Next, that is socio-demographic status. So, socio-demographic indicators, the indicators we shall discuss in this section, mainly related to health, education, and differential treatment given to women and attitude of the society towards defining women's role and status. So, some of the factors affecting women, voice clear hoch to? Hello.
Again, sir.
धन्यता मेटा ठीक होची voice clear. Hello, Meta.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Voice is clear, sir.
Acha. Some of the factors affecting to women health are high female mortality rates. Female mortality rate is high during the since independence. After independence, there was not availability of suitable facilities like transportation system, health facility, education, etc. And rural health provision was not sufficiently available since during the time of independence. So that is why there was a female mortality rate was high. So how to curb the situation? So government taken steps during different plan, provide health facilities from urban area to rural area and provide the health facility particularly and provide sufficient transportation system, how to curb and control the female mortality rates. So that is why we neglect of female infants, lower status of women, and the general neglect of women at all ages. The other factors affecting the status that are the adverse impact of the frequent and excessive child bearing on the health of women, higher evidence of certain disease in women and a higher work burden as which is a danger for the women. So socio-demographic status, these are the important points as included in your socio-demographic status. So society, what is the society attitude towards women? Social attitude towards the women. That it is very essential. That attitude plays one of the important indicators for every development. So that is why social attitude is negative towards the women nowadays also prevails all over the country. So how to create positive attitude? And that's why by the way we can grow and develop the careers of the women. Our custom, especially why the social status is so negative, because our social custom and tradition is held responsible for this regard, in this regards. So our customs and traditions still decide how women should dress and what norms will you do follow. That indicates that women cannot take a decision by themselves. So आम समाज अच्छी महिला माने जे इंडिपेंडेंटली कौन से डिसीजन नहीं परिबेने बा आमे माने कौन से को प्रकार ड्रेस पिंधिबे ड्रेस कोड व्हाट आर द ड्रेस कोड फॉर द वुमेन and opposed to an equal share between them and their sisters in parental property. Parental property मानकरे गोटे जदि घरे भाई भौणी थिबे सेमानक मध्यरे किमिति इक्वल स्टेटस मेंटेन हबो ए गुडिको सोशल ट्रेडिशन एंड कस्टम अछि आम देश रे. So that is why there is differences created and differences prevails in our country between male and women. So traditional and religious have a strong influence on women in guiding their lives from birth to death. So social traditions and birth to death and customs that are held responsible as negative impact fall on the woman. in some religious texts, women are found to be excluded from officiating at community worship. And there are expressed in rape, killing of women, especially of scheduled caste, scheduled tribes, and other backward classes, who are increasingly participating in struggling for higher wages, land rights, the right to use forest produce like fodder and fuel and so on. So these are the important as indicators why women are backward. So vital statistics, some of the important vital statistics as the indicators of women backwardness, as like 2001 census, that 48.3% of the country total population independent target. Women as an independent target group account 495.74 million and represent 48.3% of country's total population as per 2001 census. Empowering women as a process demands a life cycle approach. Therefore, every stage as of their life accounts as a priority in the planning process, depending upon the developmental needs at every stage. Female population has been categorized into 5 distinct subgroups. Female population, we can, as statistics, the indicators, the female population can be distinct 5 subgroups. The first group is girl child or girl children in the age group of 0 to 14, who account 171.50 million. So about to 34.6%. Ama desare, as per the 2001 census calculation. So adolescent girls in the age group of 15 to 19, who account 52.14%. As per the 2001 census. So third one, women in the reproductive age group 15 to 44 years. 15 to 44 ବର୍ଷ ରହୁଛନ୍ତି reproductive age group ର women. So next ହଉଛି women in the economical active age group 15 to 59. Those earn something for their family. About 15 to 59 years ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ 15 ରୁ 59 ବର୍ଷ ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ ଯେତିକି ଲୋକ ରହିଲେ ଯୋଉମାନେ କି କିଛି ପରିବାର ପାଇଁ ଆର୍ନ କରିଥାନ୍ତି ରୋଜଗାରକ୍ଷମ ଯୋଉମାନଙ୍କୁ କୁହାଯାଉଛି. So the elderly women in the age group of 60 above or 60 plus years ଯୋଉମାନେ କି they are not belongs to non-productive groups. So these are the vital statistics of women in our country. The statistics as 2001 states. Next is health and family welfare program. So what is family welfare? Better parent, healthier children, and happier home. So family planning or family welfare is not only refers to birth control, but actually the real meaning of the family planning means better parent, healthier children, and happier home. Better parent, healthier children, and happier home. Eita ko ame koiba family planning. So indirectly, by this method, we can control the birth rate. So sound health and sound bodies, sound mind. That is the indicators of the strong education, quality education that a child can learn. So however, the female death rate has come down to 4.4% from 12.7 in 1981 to 80.3 in 1999. as Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act in 1971, illegal abortion continue to be performed by unauthorized persons like local quacks and untrained persons, etc. So that is why there is a death rate, female death rate increases for these reasons. So that is why the family welfare program also is very essential for the control of the birth rate. Apart from this, the maternal mortality. India's maternal mortality rates in rural areas among the highest in the world. Rural, because due to lack of facilities, medical facilities, transport facilities, and other facilities. So maternal mortality rates in rural areas among highest in the world. A factor that contributes to India higher maternal mortality rate is the reluctance to seek medical care for pregnancy. It is viewed as a temporary condition that will disappear. The estimates nationwide are that only 40 to 50% of women receive any antenatal care. Even a woman who has difficulties with previous pregnancy is usually treated with home remedies only for some reasons. So both women mane prefer karanti je due to अंधविश्वास ପାଇଁ ସେମାନେ ବାହାରକୁ ଯିବେ ନାହିଁ ଘରେ ଆମର ଲୋକାଲରେ ଯୋଉ अवेलेबल होउथिबे जो माने सब सेମାନଙ୍କ द्वारा सेमाने डेलीवरी सिस्टम मेंटेन करिथांदे जा फल रे फीमेल डेथ रेट चाइल्ड डेथ रेट मध्ये अधिका हेठा. सो नेक्स्ट जिबा में सोशल स्टेटस. Violence against women and girl is the most pervasive human right violation in the world today. Male violence against women in the worldwide phenomenon nowadays. Within the home, women and a girl may be subjected to physical and sexual abuse as punishment or as culturally justified assaults. So worldwide, that nowadays there is violation against the women and human rights violation in all over the world. So women are subordinate in society. Women are treated as a subordinate in society. We know. The male predominance of society nowadays prevail also. Today there is male dominant society. And women are subordinate just like in the society. So the position of women in northern India is notable poor. As traditionally Hindu society in northern rural areas is hierarchical and dominated by men, as evidenced by marriage customs. North Indian Hindus are expected to marry within prescribed boundaries. North Indian रे तांकर सब अछि नियम कानून जे specific boundary भितर they will marry. The bride and groom must not be related. They have no say in the matter, and the man must live outside the woman's natal village. The provision of a dowry after marriage, the bride moves into her husband's family. Such a bride is a stranger in a strange place. गोटा नुआ जगह रे नुआ भली ताको लागू थाए जो ब्राइड ग्रूम बरकन्या. So child marriage, social status रे हमें child marriage को दिवा. Child marriage keep women subjugated. A 1976 amendment of the Child Marriage Restraint Act raised the minimum legal age of marriage from 15 to 18 for a young woman and from 18 to 21 for young men. It is 1976 amendment act अनुसार आमर child marriage को prohibition करा जायछि. 15 ରୁ 18 वर्ष young women are eligible to marry and from 18 to 21 वर्ष the young men are eligible to marry. However, in many rural communities, illegal child marriage are still common. Nowadays also prevails in rural area that child marriage are still common. In some rural areas, nearly half of the girls between 10 to 14 are married. वर्तमान मध्य देखा जाउची 10 रु 14 वर्ष बयसर पिला माने मध्य मैरिज करछन चाइल्ड मैरिज बिलोंग दे आर included in child marriage. So child marriage is punishable. Now government has taken strategy how to control the child marriage because there is a pressure on women to prove their fertility by conceiving as soon as possible after marriage. Adolescent marriage is synonymous with adolescent childbearing. Roughly 10 to 15 of all births takes place to women in their teens. So the article cites a 1993 survey of more than 5,000 women in Rajasthan. What an example. That in Rajasthan, which showed that 56% of them had married before they were 15 years. One survey as states during 1993, 5,000 women in Rajasthan and showed that 56% had married
Yes, sir.
at the age of 15. बुझेला? Next, dowry
So in
system.
Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, these states are very common for these child marriages, sir.
Child marriage, yes.
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
know,
sir.
you are so aware, Dhanata Mehta. You are so aware
Yes,
about
sir.
the Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh. So what
Sir,
the
Rajasthan,
situation
Madhya
prevails?
Pradesh, Bihar, these states are very common, sir.
Very common in this
Yes, sir.
respect.
So nowadays even.
Now it is also prevails.
Yes, sir.
So inheritance, the property that is inherited, women's right to inheritance are limited. Women's rights to inheritance are limited and frequently violated. And under the Hindu law, sons have an independent share in the ancestral property. Womanakar sabu property rights achi. Now government also taken as acts implemented and already completed that it was also passed in parliament. Men and women having equal rights for their parental property. वर्तमान विभिन्न स्टेट रे एवं सुप्रीम कोर्ट मध्य ऑर्डर करछंती जे मेल एंड वुमेन उभयंकर इक्वल स्टेटस पेरेंटल प्रॉपर्टी रे अछि. So next ame jiba that is economic status. So you know that the question specially as short and long questions. So elaborate and logical answer. That this paper as indicates that the logical answer you can elaborately write in your answer script. Economic status. Women work roughly twice as many hours as men. Actually, आमे देखिबा पय गले पुरुष मानक ठारू महिला माने अधिका काम करंती, but it is not visible. So how it is that women's contribution to agriculture like allied activities, पशुपालन करिबा, कुकुड़ा चाष करिबा एवं अन्यान्य पनीपरिबा चाष करिबा वुमेन माने बेसी इन्वॉल्वमेंट है. अपार्ट फ्रॉम दिस also there is घरोई काम सब अछि. So whether it is be subsistence farming or commercial agriculture, women measured in terms of number of tasks performed and time spent is greater than men. महिला माने एक्चुअली अधिक समय घरे देथांती एवं बाहर देथांती. किबळी जोडा कमर्शियल फार्मिंग करूचंती लाइक allied activities. The agricultural farm is main activities, that crop farming. Apart from this, there is also allied activities. Allied activities means the livestock activities. The livestock rearing, pasupalana kariba, that is जे गोपालन करिबा छेली पालन करिबा कुकुड़ा चाष करिबा एवं अन्यान्य चाष करिबा so milk and milk product particularly as produced by the women men are not involved in this respect to some extent fully though men are not fully involved but women are fully involved in allied activities so that is
Yes,
why
sir.
it is very important and that the extent of women contribution is aptly highlighted by a micro study conducted in Indian Himalayas, which found that one hectare farm, a pair of bullocks works for 1,064 hours. A woman for 3,485 hours in a year. गोटे वर्ष रे एतिक समय गोटे वुमेन काम करि थाए इन आंध्र प्रदेश particularly in Andhra Pradesh found that the work day of a woman agricultural laborer during the agricultural season lasts of 15 hours from 4 am to 8 am 8 pm ता माने 15 घंटा से काम करूची आंध्र प्रदेश रे गोटे वुमेन and rests are by the men here male counterpart works for 7 to 8 hours from 5 pm to 10 am or 11 am पांचटारू जने पुरुष लोक पांचटारू से 10टा किबा 11टा जाय से काम करे खेत बाड़ी रे किंतु महिला माने आंध्र प्रदेश रे अबाउट 15 आवर्स से काम करिथांती आंध्र प्रदेश कारण आंध्र प्रदेश होची दैट produces a huge quantity of rice.
Sir, even in hello. So even in urban areas, working women's work gets doubled because when they have to go for the office, they have to do the work. They have to get up earlier. They have to complete the work, and then they have to go to offices. So even in the urban areas, also their work is doubled, sir. Doubled
in this respect after completing the housework so that they
yes,
also proceed to go to their office duty.
Yes,
so
sir.
that is why in this
So
context we can compare that women are working more hours than the men.
Men in both the regions, sir, both in urban and
rural area. So next, political status. So men manakar kon political status that we can discuss here. The 73rd and 74th constitutional amendments during 1993 have brought forth a definite impact on the participation of women. Women participation is very essential in political status because the country will grow if there will be equal opportunity among men and women. जदि समस्तंकर समान सबुथिरे शेयर थिबो ताले गोटे देश इकोनॉमिकली सोशियली साइंटिफिकली in every respect can develop as if we compare with the foreign country those are rich country USA Britain German France and United Kingdom Australia there is equal participations of men and women सब आडे में देखुचंती जत्ते rich country developed country रे that there is equal opportunity for both men and women. So that is why they are treated as the developed countries. We are belongs to developing countries. हमें विकास पथ रे एपर्यंत आगे चली चंती संपूर्ण भाव रे विकसित होई नाती. So in this regard that in terms of absolute numbers in grassroots democratic institution पंचायत राज इंस्टीट्यूशन पीआरआई जोटा हमें कहउचंती एंड लोकल बॉडीज द वुमेन्स पार्टिसिपेशन इज इनएविटेबल वुमेन्स पार्टिसिपेशन इज इनएविटेबल अनिवार्य निहाती दरकार इन फैक्ट दीज अमेंडमेंट्स हैव हेल्प्ड वुमेन नॉट ओनली इन देयर effective participation.
So why are those countries developed and why we are developing country? Why India is a developing country and others, United Nations, are developed countries?
Yes. Because there is equal status of men and women. Women are more involved in different sectors. You know,
so
that
what
there are different. sectors of economy, you know, that primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sectors.
Yes, sir.
There are three important sectors. The women are involved. All
Yes, sir.
these sectors
Yes, sir.
equally with men. And apart from this, the women's participation in the political affairs also maximum. Women are also involved maximum in political affairs. So that is why they are belongs to developed countries. Developed countries economically, there are different factors as why the country is so developed, why the country is so advanced. We are belongs to developing. We are not properly implementing the different plans and strategy for our country. There is political problems. Rules and regulations are not properly as educated by the officers. So that is why we are developing. And though the experience of the Indian Panchayat Raj.
So what are the reasons that makes our country being developing and not developed? What are the reasons that blocks us from becoming a developed country?
Again?
So what are the reasons that blocks or that becomes a barrier for our country, India, to become a developed country? So what are the reasons?
Blocks.
Yes,
blocks.
that acts as a barrier.
Panchayat Samiti. That you are saying that Panchayat Samiti, no?
Underdeveloped.
So as the rules and regulation as enacted by the government,
yes, sir,
at Panchayat level or Panchayat Raj system, there is not perfectly implemented at the village level, and other lacunas due to political interference, and the facilities available at the grassroots level is not properly reached near the poor. There are other different problems for which that blocks are not developed so seriously, as government enacted different laws for these regions, and how the Panchayat Raj will become so strong. If Panchayat Raj is one of the grassroots level system of administration, the first Panchayat Raj.
So is only Panchayat Raj system responsible for our country becoming a backward country?
Panchayat Raj system as one of the system by which we can grow and develop the grassroots levels people, that particularly the that is rules and regulation as formulated by the district Panchayat Raj system, that must be passed to the village level. जे कौनसी मैटर ऊपर हो आमर पंचायत राज सिस्टम रे जे कौनसी आईन प्रणयन करा जाउची ताहा वास्तव क्षेत्र में परिणत होगा दरकार ड्यू टू पॉलिटिकल इंटरफेरेंस एंड अदर factors that Panchayat Raj were not so effectively held at the rural areas. गाँ गंडा अंचल रे जो पंचायत राज सिस्टम रो हमर जो राजस्थान रे प्रथमे इंडिया रो फर्स्ट पंचायत राज सिस्टम वाज इंप्लीमेंटेड इन राजस्थान, यू नो परहैप्स जानछ ना नहीं?
यस सर,
पंचायत राज सिस्टम फर्स्ट इंप्लीमेंटेड हेतला राजस्थान रे. सो अकॉर्डिंगली जेतबे राजस्थान रे डेवलपमेंट देखा गला एंड इट कवर टू ऑल ओवर द कंट्री इन अदर स्टेट्स. इन ओडिशा फॉर एग्जांपल देयर वाज नो sufficient plan and strategy is commenced by the government of India in our country, but it is not practically as applied in rural area due to different political interference and other problems.
Yes, sir.
So that's why the block level areas and block that includes a numbers of villages are become backward so far today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
women leads in the Panchayat Raj are transforming local governance by sensitizing the state to issue of poverty, inequality and gender injustice. तो women माने महिला माने जदि से माने इन्वॉल्व रहे पंचायत राज रे so that से माने वास्तव चित्र गुडी काणकी सरकार पाखरे उपस्थापन करिवे women माने जदि प्रकृत रे इन्वॉल्वमेंट हेबे at the panchayat raj level. So reservation must be held for the women candidate in panchayat raj system, by which we can develop the village area. So that are some of the critical areas for the women. Critical areas of concern for the women like malnutrition, poor health, कौन सो problem अछि critical area as concern for the women. What is malnutrition, poor health of the women, lack of education, overwork or overburden, unskilled, mistreatment, powerlessness. women मान को एपर सुधा पावर दिया जाउनी. Equal status ए पर्यंत सुधा हम देश रे रही equal status. There is no equal status for men and women. So these are the important critical areas of concern for the women. So next we proceed to education and training for the rural women. Unit 2 रे हमारा अछि education and training for rural women. So education, particularly in case of developed countries, as education is vital for the human resource development. Women comprise half the world's population and their role in development cannot therefore be overlooked. So that is why we should provide sufficient education and training for the women. In India, women constitute nearly half of the rural population. About 50% of rural population is covered by the women and play a vital role in the rural economy. So that is why major portion of the rural people are belongs to women. So that is why women literacy is inevitable. So Kerala is the first in India on women literacy. So that is why they are developed state. They need to be considered equal partners in the development process. Not only do education and training go a long way in achieving this goal, but also help in raising the status of women, enable development of their potential and help them to live as independent and equal partners. So that is why women education is very essential. The purpose of providing education to women. What are the reasons why we need education for the women? Because enable women to think critically. महिला माने जदि शिक्षा ग्रहण करिवे से माने भलो भावे चिंता करि परिवे भलो मंद critically they can think, identify their strength,
so they can take good decisions.
They can
Take good decisions.
Yes. So secondly, the purpose of providing education, empower them to play a positive role in their own and the nations of development. So if the women will be literate, they can focus on the development of the country, how the country will develop, because they will minimize जदि जने शिक्षा ग्रहण करिवो. So अधिका परिवार रे अधिका जनसंख्या बढ़िले तार क्षति कोन अछि से जानि परिवो. So within limited members of the family they can maintain their status of living. So automatically जदि जने जने करिकरी सारा भारत रे सारा देश रे हमर सब वुमेन माने चिंताधारा या करिवे ताहले the country will, the family will grow and develop, economically become developed, so the country will automatically also become economically advanced. So again, enhance their self image. यदि महिला माने शिक्षा ग्रहण करिवे ताहले their self image will grow. Appraisal efforts for girls education. In pre-independent India, the formal system of education was created essentially ଏବେ ବନ୍ଦ କରିବା ଆଉ ଠିକ ଅଛି ବାହାର ପିଲା ତ କାହିଁ ନାହାନ୍ତି ଆମର ଖାଲି ଆଚ୍ଛା 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 ହଉ ଠିକ ଅଛି ହ୍ୟାଲୋ ବବିତା ମହାନ୍ତ ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
Yes, sir.
ହଁ ମେହେଟା ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
Yes,
ହ୍ୟାଲୋ
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
କାଲି 6ଟା ଠିକ 6ଟାରେ ଜଏନ କରିବ
Okay, sir.
Yes, sir.
6 PM ରେ ଲେଟ୍ ହେଇଯାଉଛି ଜଏନ
Yes,
କରିବା
sir.
ଲେଟ୍ ହେଇଯାଉଛି ବୁଝିହେଲା
Sorry, sir.
so
Yes,
today
sir.
I stop here
Okay, sir.
today I stop here
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
thank you